Measles is one of the most contagious infectious diseases that humans can get. If you are susceptible to measles and you come in contact with it, more than 90% of the time you will acquire measles. If you're infected with measles and you go out into the world among people who are susceptible, you will spread it to up to 18 other people. That compares with influenza, which is a pretty infectious disease, and it'll spread only to 2 or 3 other people. So it gives you a sense of just how easily spread measles can be. It can hang in the air for 2 hours. So someone can walk through a room with measles, spreading measles, and the virus will hang in the air for 2 hours, and someone coming in literally an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes later can acquire the infection because the virus is still hanging there if they are susceptible to it. In other words, if they don't have immunity. One thing about measles is that there are not silent cases. If you have the measles, you've got the measles, and people will see it. Fever, cough, major nose congestion, and conjunctivitis, that's redness to the eyes. Those are the 3 manifestations, the 3 C's, cough, coryza, conjunctivitis, that go along with fever for the initial presentation of measles, and then that's followed by the rash. Rash starts on the face, spreads down to the body, and spreads out to the extremities. And it is a very characteristic kind of a rash and kind of a look. It's kind of hard to explain to younger physicians who haven't seen measles what it looks like, but it's one of those things that when you see it, you know it. They just have a look to them. They are miserable. Their eyes are sunken back, sometimes with dehydration, red. They've got this congestion to their face. It is a dramatic kind of a presentation, and then they have the rash on their body as well. There is no multi-state outbreak of measles currently. There was some misinformation or misrepresentation of data, perhaps, from last week's press stories. And so this is a good opportunity to kind of talk about what we do have, but also what we don't have. Now, there are between January 1 and July 14, there have been 107 cases of measles in the United States that have been reported. Of those, there have been 8 outbreaks, individual outbreaks, and an outbreak is defined as spread between 3 or more people from one case. So 8 outbreaks plus additional individual imported cases, accounting for these 107 cases in the first half, if you will, of 2018. It's important that we maintain our guard against measles. We don't, overreact, but at the same time we pay attention to it because it is so infectious. It in many ways would be like throwing a match on dry leaves in terms of how quickly it can catch. In order to prevent that from happening, we've got to maintain high vaccination rates. And those high vaccination rates generally are accepted to be 95% or more of the U.S. population having received the adequate measles immunization schedule for their age appropriate, in order to have the kind of immunity within the population that we need, so that if an imported case comes in, it has nowhere to spread to because everybody already is immune to or resistant to the virus endemically here in the United States. The science of immunizations is crystal clear. Vaccines are safe. Vaccines save lives. And I mean, that's like saying, gravity keeps us here on the earth. It is just a fact. That's the way it is. For parents that have doubts, I recommend that they talk, heartfelt with their pediatricians, and their pediatricians will welcome that. They remember what it's like to take care of a child dying of an infection that can be prevented by a vaccine. They don't want to see that happen again for any child. And so they will jump at the opportunity to have an honest and deep discussion with parents about why vaccines should be given to every eligible child, everybody who can receive the vaccine throughout the country. whenever we enter the school season again, it's always a good opportunity to think about infections. It's a good opportunity to emphasize hand washing and the personal kinds of things that we can do to protect ourselves and to protect others. And that includes measles immunization, but it also includes other things. It includes getting influenza immunization when that comes out about this time of year in September or so. Get your flu vaccine. Make sure with your pediatrician that your child is fully immunized against all of the vaccines that are on the schedule that's endorsed by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.